to end this week off with talking about managing multiple businesses and ventures. And if you have been here at any point in time in this week, you've heard me say this 15,000 times. We all have multiple jobs, a side gig, we walk dogs, we cut grass, we babysit, we influencers, y'all, we got all type of pages, all types of things, because we are truly in this space of being able to be multi-hyphenates, and then also trying to make sure that we're not unhoused, right? So we're managing all of these businesses. But a lot of times we don't have the conversation around what does it take to manage multiple things? What are the systems and processes that we need to have in place to manage these things and to do it well? Because it's one thing to have multiple ventures, but it's another thing to be burnt out. It's another thing to manage all these things and be like, you know what? I quit, right? And so we want to make sure that we have a conversation with some experts around some different things that we can do to prepare. So thank you so much for being here. I'm going to say their names, and then I'm going to let you all kind of give your own bios, because I don't want to misread. I want to make sure you say all your receipts, but not too long, okay? So we have Archie Stewart here. Introduce yourself, Archie.
Hey, y'all. How you doing? Let's try. Wait, hold on. I need a little bit more energy. Come on now. It's Juneteenth. Hey, y'all. How you doing?
Good.
There we go. Okay. Hey, y'all. I'm Archie Stewart. I am 9 to 5, and I own my own business. So my 9 to 5ers out there, those who have their own side hustles or even full-time businesses, I'm bringing that perspective. But I do serve at the City of Birmingham as the Reinvest Plan Officer, but I am also a business owner. So I do own Crown Enterprises and RAS Consulting. I do systems operations and automation.
Renee, like, okay, check. Know that I might need that. Renee, introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. I'm Renee Price. I have a few companies.
Yes, you do.
Okay, so we have Work Smart Solutions. This is where we help small business owners start, grow, and scale through technical management. I also have a celebration company called Partyology Event Planning. Book the fun with us. We have We Do Taxes, which I'm in partnership with Insiders for the tax preparation for small businesses, nonprofits, and individuals. And then I have a e-commerce company, Looking Good Girl. When you look good, you feel good, and when you feel good, you can take over the world. So this is where we sell luxury shapewear.
Awesome. Hey, Patrick.
I'm Patrick Barnett, Insiders Inc., accounting firm, small business, a CEO. I also have another business, but it's, they kind of run together. I mean, they work together. We do mainly accounting, bookkeeping, tax, rep work, IRS rep work. Just basically anything dealing with business and financials. Financial literacy is the biggest thing for me, so I am bringing that kind of aspect to it, starting a business and what you need to know tax-wise and everything like that.
Thank you. Hey, Katrina.
Hi, good people. So, am I holding it like a rapper?
No, you're not.
Okay, good.
No, you're doing great.
So I am the owner and principal attorney of Creative Mind Law. We are an intellectual property firm and business law firm. And my husband and I own an app business. He's an app developer for Apple. So we create apps on the side. That's his side hustle. I'm just there to make sure people pay us accordingly. But mainly, I specialize in helping minority business owners secure their legacy and their brand through trademarks, copyrights, and making sure that they do all of the things to protect their intellectual property. So,
awesome. Thank you. And Jermaine, how you doing, bud?
Doing pretty good. What's going on, everybody?
Hey.
All right. My name is Jermaine Williams. I'm the owner of JW Package Store and also the owner of True Construction Group. I would call myself a serial entrepreneur. I've done many businesses. I've quit many businesses. But currently I'm working on those too. And I'm here to share a little bit with you.
Awesome. And I know you're going to just not like me put you on the spot, but this is Jermaine's first panel he's done. I like to go find entrepreneurs that are like off in the cut and pull them into the world because people need to know what they do. So we're going to make sure we make him feel very comfortable. So thank you so much for, look at your face. Thank you so much for being here. And we appreciate you. So one of the things too, I am an avid reader. And so before I get started, I want to just kind of make note of a few resources. So if you guys want to just take note of these books that might be super helpful for you. And I'm going to ask some questions based on those different things, okay? So there's a book called Traction by Gene Wickman, okay? Write that down. How to Scale Your Small Business by Donald Miller. Motivation Manifesto, when we're thinking about discipline and how to keep ourselves motivated. This is Marketing by Seth Godin. And Unreasonable Hospitality, which is all about customer service. Because when we think about kind of managing all these different systems, our customers are at the center of them, right? And if we don't make our customers happy, we can't make revenue. Therefore, it doesn't matter what we try to scale because no one wants to use what we have. So I'm going to hop right in. Jermaine, I have a question for you because one of the things, I know it's the first question. Let's rip the Band-Aid off, okay? You're going to be all right. So one of the things that I really, I don't want to use the word preach, but I really encourage entrepreneurs to do is to build an ecosystem around what they're doing, right? I think a lot of times we're like, well, I can do this. I'm skilled at this. I can make candles. I bake cakes. I can monetize every single skill I have. I don't necessarily recommend that, right? I think that it's important for us to build an ecosystem. If we're going to have multiple businesses that work in tandem, right? And so, but I think too, in the world of entrepreneurship and the internet, we think we're supposed to do everything, be a YouTube star, influencer, all the things, right? But I think too, from my personal philosophy, it's always important to start with your why, right? Your why in, okay, if I'm gonna manage these multiple businesses, how do I make sure that it's still connected to my purpose, right? And not just focused on productivity or profit, but how do I make sure I stay anchored? Because when things get hard, you will wanna quit. So how do you kind of anchor all the businesses that you have? How were you able to stay anchored in your why to make sure before you started with purpose?
All right, my why stems back from childhood. So my why doesn't have anything to do with any particular business, but my why is a certain level of freedom that I require. I need it. And so entrepreneurship has always allowed me that. It costs a lot, and it's really hard to do, but it's worth it. And so even on this day that we Juneteenth, when you think about freedom, it costs a lot, and it costs a lot of people. But anyway, so my why is going to always be there, and my why is strong because I always need the freedom. I need to be able to get up when I want to. I need to be able to lay down when I want to. I need my ideas I need to be able to see my ideas. When I was working a job, I had ideas, it didn't matter because there was a whole nother thing they were doing. So when you work for yourself, you can have a vision and then you can watch it grow. For me, I always tried to solve an issue or a problem. And I go back when I first quit my job, I got a cargo van and my wife put it in her name. I got that cargo van and I took it to Homewood and I was making $145 a day. And so I was always trying to figure out how can I make more. And so and my van was brand new. And so a lot of people, when I rolled in the warehouse, people say, well, why you get that brand new van? Because I always saw the future. I'm gonna do this for a while. But the issue that I saw there is that a lot of people's van broke down and they couldn't finish their routes. And so with that, I got an idea. So I started going to Atlanta, buying a $2,000 van, and I rented to this guy for $50 a day. And by the end of the month, he paying me $1,000. 2 months, I paid that van off. So the ecosystem there, and it didn't require me to do anything but provide the van. You understand? And take their insurance and take their information. That's all it required while I still did that first business. Yeah. So for me, it's always about solving the issue. Yeah. And that's what I did in that situation, for an example.
Yeah, that's amazing. You worried about being on this panel. Thank you so much for sharing. That was great. And I think that's key too. Before I have a question for you, Katrina, it's just understanding your why. And so sometimes we try to make it deep, but for you, it's like, hey, I need autonomy, right? I need to have the freedom and flexibility to have something in my mind and be able to have the motivation to bring it forth and to be able to do whatever it is that I want to do. Okay, so Katrina, we get started real fast. And that's the thing, right? We get started very fast. When you think from a legal standpoint, what are some of the foundational things that we need to have in place? So we had an intellectual property workshop yesterday, Masterclass yesterday, and we talked a lot about trademarking, copywriting, NDAs, but what are some of the things that people need to, before we put our foot on the gas, right? Or if it's already on the gas, if we need to kind of yield a little bit, what are some of the foundational legal things that we need to have in place, or some things that you see that people miss and they have to go back and correct?
Okay, so before I talk about the legal things, I think what you really have to do as an entrepreneur is to have like 3 core values, right? Like, what do you value? For me, it's definitely I need my freedom and my flexibility. I was never going to be a 9 to 5 person. And my mom used to say, "You're going to be the brokest lawyer I know," because I always said, "Oh, I'm working from 10 to 3. And you know what time I get to my office? 9. And you know what time I get off? 3 o'clock. I mean, I work later, but I needed flexibility. I want to be able to come and go as I want. So that's one of my key values. My other one is customer service. Listen, if you can do good customer service, you will exceed and make as much money because it's a lost art. It is a lost art. And if you are a person who will refund, you are a person who will go above and beyond, I assure you that people are going to refer you over and over and over and over again because I do it all the time. So for me, one of my core values is customer service. I own when I make a mistake or if someone in my office makes mistakes. I don't try to say, "Well, it's your fault." No, it's us. And we're going to refund you for that. Or we're going to take care of that. So we're going to cover it on the back end. And I don't advertise nearly as much as I used to. And my business is still thriving because customer service is one of those main things. And then the other thing is I don't want to be limited about the amount of money that I make. And I think one of the things that entrepreneurs fail to do is you fail to understand what you're charging and why you charge a thing. I represent a lot of people in the beauty industry, and I know they're taking a hit on social media, but a lot of hairstylists and nail techs and people who do lashes, they'll charge whatever someone in Atlanta is charging, and they're pricing themselves out of business. So understanding, yes, you want to make a certain amount of money, but you also need to understand the clients that you serve, the environment that you're in, and the type of people. So you can call yourself luxury all you want, but, if you don't have the pricing where it needs to be, where people can actually afford it, you're going to be without clients. So legally speaking, of course, I know it sounds elementary. You need an LLC. You need to have a partnership agreement if you're in business with somebody else. I cannot stress it enough. I don't care if it's family. I don't care if it's your husband. My husband and I own a business, and we have a partnership agreement. And I love him. But, the reality is, sir, you might pack up and leave, and I'm going to need my half. So, but, seriously, we have a partnership agreement, and we're going into business with a couple of other couple friends of ours, and we're creating a partnership agreement. I love all of them, but business is business. I cannot stress that enough. I was telling them back there when I was younger, my dad owned his own business, and he fired me after 2 weeks. Because he told me I was cutting in for him being able to take care of my mama. He couldn't have it. So he fired me, and I had to go work at the hospital. My point is that business is business, and we have to treat our business like our baby, right? And that means if anything comes between us being able to take care of that child, it's got to go.
Yeah, well, thank you for answering a couple of questions that I had on the paper.
Sorry.
Hey, man, no, I love an innovative leader. So, okay, so Archie, so tell me this. So somebody comes to you, a client, they're overwhelmed, they have a list of to-dos, they got staff or maybe a whole bunch of people that's friends and cousins that's helping them out. They have a lot of systems that are disorganized. Walk us through what would be your go-to strategy or framework for helping them to get started with stabilizing their systems and beginning to create a flow.
So I think the biggest piece of that is that if I were to ask most business owners and entrepreneurs, what systems do you have in your business? They wouldn't be able to tell me what they were, because 9 times out of 10, they don't know what's the difference between a system and a process. So before I even dive into that, to answer your question, we're going to do a brain dump.
Okay.
Because most of the time when people come to me, they think that, okay, we're going to do this VIP day, which if you're not familiar with VIP days, is where you spend between 3, 6, 8 hours with someone to get a job done very quickly. You have to play the long game if you want to put your systems in place the right way. So we're going to do a brain dump. That brain dump may take us a couple of hours because I'm asking you questions about, okay, let's start with your marketing. What systems or what softwares do you use? What websites do you use? What apps do you use? What do they do? And then what? And then what? And then what? And most of the time my clients, they laugh at me and they're like, okay, how many times you gonna ask me and then what? Until you understand how many steps are in your process, what step is the bottleneck, where do you need to delegate, and what you possibly need to remove. And then once we do that brain dump and then we set your priorities, it then gives the client a lot more clarity around what they need to be focusing their attention on, what can be put on the back burner, and what they may need to eliminate altogether.
Okay, but walk us through the systems and the difference between a system and a process.
Yeah, so I'll say it like this. A process is the steps that you take to get to a solution. A system is a culmination of all of those processes. Does that make sense to everyone? So like, let's say, for example, I specialize in CRMs, which is client relationship management tools. Within a CRM is a system. Why? Because a CRM handles not just your pipeline, but it also handles your contracts, some of them. It also handles your invoicing. It also handles sometimes your emails. It handles keeping a track of all your client lists, not just the pipeline, but who is in your clientele. So it's something that tracks a culmination of things. Again, a process is, okay, invoicing. Who are we invoicing? How much do they owe you? Invoicing is one thing. A system, or I'll say this, invoicing is one thing. Invoicing is a process. Your systems are multiple processes put together.
Thank you. Thank you for that. We all need you, Archie. Okay, so let me ask you this, Renee and Patrick. I know that you guys can work in tandem with this. So what are some financial and record keeping systems that we should have in place to avoid tax time stress? Because most of us, me included, when tax time comes, we come to y'all with all this stuff that has not been put together. What are some things we could do to make sure that we can avoid some of this tax time stress in advance? So what are some things we should already be having in place? Some systems, maybe some software, some habits that we can have to make sure that we're ready for the end of the year, so that we don't go to jail.
Well, you're not going to go to jail, just first and foremost. I would say the simplest thing to do is to have some kind of accounting system, where the ideal thing is have some computerized system, QuickBooks, Xero, whatever you have. If you have that. If you don't have that, you can get an Excel file. You can put it on Excel. If you don't have Excel, you can write it on a sheet of paper. I mean, some kind of way of keeping track of what you have, what you're making. Because one of the biggest things that I see, entrepreneurs if they're hustling to get the money to put in their pocket, they don't really keep count of it. You ask them how much money have you made in a year, they find it in the ceiling somewhere. And they don't know. They make up a number, but especially if you're selling something, you retail, you need to know sales per month, how much in sales you had, because you have to report that. And that's another thing. I mean, that's another thing that you have to be aware of. If you're in business, if you're selling something, you get your city, get your business license, get your sales tax license, and if you have payroll, you got to get a withholding. You have to pay withholding tax. So all of those things you need to understand that you need to have. Why are you actually doing it? Because if you miss them, they're going to come and ask you for those reports. So I would say one of the biggest things is just have an accounting system, however you do it. I mean, you can start from I've had clients start with a paper bag. They'll bring me a paper bag with the things written on them. I mean, as long as the numbers are correct, I mean, you're vouching for the numbers, but let's work on something else. So, incrementally, we'll put a system in place where, down the line, now we have a QuickBooks file, and now we're, getting all of their transactions going through their business bank account. Now the next thing we'll be working on, let's distinguish what's business, what's personal, so we can separate those. So it's a process, but one of the most, to answer your question, the keyest thing, so you can be aware of what you make and how much you're going to pay in taxes, is developing an accounting system.
And also managing it and using it. I can't tell you how many people we set it up. They don't manage it. They don't use it. They don't want to pay for one of us to manage it for them.
Okay.
So if you're going to actually get the accounting system, make sure you use it.
So I mean, I know everybody's heard like QuickBooks. So you're saying like pretty much like a QuickBooks, sign up for a QuickBooks, Or you got another one?
There's Wave, there's Zero, there are several
Okay.
accounting software.
And Wave is free. So Wave is free, but you have to be intentional about when you use Wave because it's just going to throw stuff everywhere.
Okay.
You kind of get somebody to help you do it, but it's free. I mean, I have clients on Wave as well.
Okay.
It's not something you just sign up for. It's something that you have to be intentional about. You need to look at it weekly, monthly, yearly to keep up with those things.
Good. Okay. So when we set it up, pretty much develop a cadence that helps us to keep our eyes and ears on it. I had another question I was going to ask you, Jermaine, but I think I want to kind of stay there a little bit because when we think about growing, you can't grow if you don't know your numbers, right? So you set up the accounting system, money's coming in, but you don't know what's next. You don't know if you can hire folks. You don't know where you are because you don't have a way to kind of track what you're making.
Exactly. Because, I mean, you use those financial statements. The next step in that accounting system is financial statements and using those financial statements to make decisions and to tell you things about your company that you wouldn't know otherwise. She mentioned pricing. It's important to know, am I actually making money on this thing? Like, okay, if it costs me this amount, am I selling this amount? I'm going to be taxed by this amount. What should I sell it for? You can't make those decisions without knowing the numbers. Yeah. And kind of to go back on one thing somebody else said about hairdressers and everything like that, development systems for them is important because you'll be stuck in the same loop for multiple years. You've been in the same spot for 10 years. You've been doing hair because you've been making cash. But when you go, when it's time to go buy a house or go buy a car or something, they want to see those financial statements. And if you don't have those, you can say, yeah, I got cash in my pocket. But if you can't present a financial statement and actually show that you're actually making money, then that's going to be an uphill battle for you.
Yeah. So, you want to ask something?
I know one of my weaknesses has always been the back office. So I have processes and systems in place, like what they were talking about. I have QuickBooks, and I have a really great POS system that I can print a report on just about anything. And here recently, after 4 years, I found a report that showed me exactly how much one employee made me, profited me, how many bottles they sold in 4 years. And I mean, it's so many reports that kind of helped me. I don't manage it well, but the numbers are there, and I can always pull a report and say, here you go, because I'm going to get with him in a second because I'm in between.
Got you some business over there, Pat.
My POS system and my QuickBooks have all the information there. So I just got to get better. So I could tell you how much we made. I could tell you the margins. I could tell you just about where every penny goes.
Yeah.
Now, then I guess after that, you just got to pay the taxes. And then that's
the part. We don't want to waste this night. We got to pay the tax.
Can I add something to that?
Yes. Okay, let's see where you're going. Let's see if you're going to go where I was going.
No, you go first.
You go first.
Are you sure?
You're a guest.
Okay. No, I was just going to say in the theme of making use, one of the things, and I understand legal services are expensive. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, girl, you're going to get that contract for $10. You're not. But I will say this, it's an investment. Having someone to do your books or to help set it up is an investment, and you have to see it as an investment. That being said, when you get contracts, even if you're getting a contract off of Google, and I'm not promoting that, what I am saying is that you should be reviewing your contracts every year. You should not just get a contract drafted and just go with it. I think because as your businesses change, the contract will need to change. As you begin to hire new people or to have contract workers, those things will need to change. So you want to make sure that you are using your systems, but also reviewing those contracts as well, because they may need to be updated. NDAs are not as effective as they used to be as of last December. So if you're operating on the NDA, depending on where you are located, it may not even be a functional contract. So understanding, where you are, whether that contract is still effective, and if those terms are still effective.
That's good. So that did go into my next question, because when we think about having multiple things, we got to have help. And we sometimes, unfortunately, culturally, we like, no, I could do it. I don't want to be Superwoman. I'm just a girl. I need some support, right? And so I think sometimes we get into this space of I can start this thing and out operate it. I'm good at that. I can figure it out. I can get on chat and chat will help me, right? And so we think that it's okay for us to try to manage all these things. But one thing I have learned as a serial entrepreneur, multi-venture entrepreneur is that I need help. And to your point, it's an investment, right? And so the same way we can find time to pay Canva to make a logo when we should be using Don G and J by Faith Designs, right? Like we can use and take some money to make sure that we hire Katrina, that we have Patrick, that Renee is helping us, that Archie, she probably don't do it right now because you just got this really great job at the city, but you know, that we get Archie to help us, right? So you have to look at getting some support as an investment. So the question I have is, you kind of helped us get there. It's like, first you gotta know your numbers. We gotta be able to track it. A lot of times we moving fast, we making the money, we taking it, we going out to eat, we going to Hobby Lobby, talking to myself, right? But we have to know like where the money is going. But how do we know when we can actually afford to get help? Right? Because I think, or when we can afford to pay ourselves. So, and I'm talking from a very transparent place because Patrick helps me out a lot. And so even knowing when to pay yourself and to really, like a W-2 employee, pay yourself, right? Because sometimes it feels good just to see that money in your account. You're like, I'm not poor. Right? But it don't all belong to you, baby. Because there's operational things that have to happen. And then you let that money sit in your account, and at the end of the year, it's like, you can't show where you spent it. So now you're in trouble, right? Now you're like, I'm broke again. I gotta pay the IRS, right? Yep. So help us to understand, when do we know it's a good time to get help? And help may not always look like a W-2 employee. Help may look like 1099. It may look like getting somebody to do contract work for you and then doing it that way. But how can we gauge when we're ready to get help and or when we should position ourselves to begin to pay ourselves? And that could be anybody.
So you're talking about, when you say help, paying yourself, or you're talking about paying somebody else?
Both ends. So, because sometimes we start off with just like, hey, because we can also contract ourselves, right? So, but how do we know? Because I think sometimes so, has anybody ever struggled trying to figure out when to get help? Yes, no, yeah, okay. So I'm asking, when do we know when we can afford to hire somebody? Don't be laughing at my question.
Well, I would say you can afford to hire somebody when you have the means to pay them. I mean, if paying somebody will help you get this job done and you can get the income coming in to pay them, yes. Paying yourself, I would say you're paying yourself anyway. And that's what I have to get a lot of my clients coming in to know, whether you're paying your mortgage through your business, your rent through your business, your car note through your business, whatever. Even if you're using your business money for your personal, expenses, that's you paying yourself. So I think the misconception is putting yourself on payroll is expensive, and actually it's really not. It's just like maybe 7% more on top of whatever you're paying. You're paying yourself $1,000, it'll be 7% more. But just the structure of it can be intimidating to a lot of people because they don't realize that they're actually paying themselves. They just, I just pay my car note out of the business, but if it's $1,000, that's $1,000. That's not a deductible business expense. So you got to pay taxes on that, whether you realize it or not, because when you file your tax return, now you owe. Paying yourself, I think, even if it's $100 a month, pay yourself something just so you can see it. And then once you see it coming, this is a W-2, and we can talk about paying yourself as a contractor once I finish. And that way you could put yourself a payroll. You're paying yourself, you get a W-2, you can deduct that expense, and you can show income on your tax return. So when I talked about before, going to get a car, going to get a house, you're actually showing some income, and that's not tied directly to the profit or the loss of your business. You're actually paying yourself. If you're paying yourself as a contractor, meaning you're taking draws, just transferring $500 whenever from your business to your personal, I would recommend paying estimated taxes. That way, you're not left with a big tax bill at the end of the year. But all of that is, systemic. I would recommend doing that quarterly, as opposed to just doing it, once every year or something like that. But having some kind of plan in place to pay yourself. But I guess to answer your question, you're already paying yourself. It's just doing it in a structural way so you can report it and actually take advantage of it, because you can grow by paying yourself on paper. But if you constantly just pulling money out of the business account, you're just running a cycle, and you're not going to be able to grow like that. It's going to be more expensive to grow.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's helpful. I have some more, but I do want to ask Jermaine, because so sometimes when we are thinking about, or we have multiple ventures, we talk a lot about, hey, don't quit, keep going, push through. But sometimes we need to quit, right? Like when you have multiple things, like every business is not, valuable, right? And so we can be juggling something that we don't need to be juggling. So we talk a lot about pushing through, but we don't talk a lot about knowing when to let something go. So how do you know, as a serial entrepreneur, what to give energy to? Right? What deserves your energy, and when to stop something, or to say, hey, this one actually may need to be the one that I put more of my energy and focus into?
To answer your question on the last question, the short answer is sometimes you don't know when to hire somebody. You just have to do it. And a lot of times the business is able to sustain. You may have to make a few changes, but sometimes you just have to hire somebody. In the perfect world, you would know. But in most cases, in my experience, I didn't know. I just did it. I need a break. You can't work 7 days a week. And your vision is tied. Your labor won't get you to where you want to go only. You need the labor of others. So you have to hire somebody, whether you know the time or not. On the other question, I've quit a lot of businesses. I've started a lot of them, and I quit a lot of them. The number one thing I think for people is don't feel nothing for the business.
Say that one more time.
Don't feel or don't be in love with the business. I don't love no business because it's business. Business don't love you. Business love the bottom line, the numbers.
That sounds like a rap song.
Business don't care about your family, and so you have to understand that. For an example, in 2022, I was doing construction work, and I was also building another store, and I couldn't be in two places at one time. I had a job going on in Hoover at the Summit, and we were doing good, but as soon as I was not on the job site, things started going wrong. And so in my mind, the more consistent business was the liquor stores. So I had to give more attention to that because those were the things, or that's the business that was gonna feed my family, pay the insurance, and that's the business that I had spent the most time with. So although I was good at the other thing and it made like a lot of spontaneous money, a large amount, sometimes it hurts you more to keep going. So I ended up losing over $100,000 fooling with those jobs and kind of ran out of the money to finish the store. I had to sell a few things to get that store going, sell one of my properties, and so that taught me a lesson. I spread myself too thin. And if I felt a certain way about the construction, then I wouldn't have quit. I would have kept trying to make it work. So the thing for me is do not feel anything for a business. It does not love you back. It could be your baby, but it doesn't love you back.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, babies just take anyway. They don't, you know what I'm saying? They don't give anything. So
That's a word.
My advice would be you can let it go if you don't love it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
The law of detachment.
No attachment.
The law of attachment.
That was good.
Detachment.
You're doing great.
Scared money don't make no money. And you have to have an abundance mindset when it comes to business. Just in my experience, I work with a lot of women, particularly Black women, and we have this complex of, like Alicia said, I'm Superwoman, I can do it all, I can do it bad by myself, and that's gonna burn you out. You might be able to run lean for like maybe a year, maybe 2, but that's pushing it. The minute that you hire someone, whether it's someone that can do your marketing, whether it's someone who can automate your systems, whether it's someone that can do your website, revamp your branding, someone who can do your sales calls, is going to expand your capacity. But as long as you are afraid to spend the money and make the investment, you are shooting yourself in the foot and you are setting your business up to fail.
Can I answer that?
You sure can.
I just want to say too, because I definitely believe your business is your baby, but I also think you have to raise that child to sell it. Not your baby for real, but your business. You should always build your business to sell. You should invest in your business as if somebody would want to buy it one day. I have had so many transactions with small business who have been able to make money because they were able to sell it. The other thing too is you also want to make sure that you know why you're hiring somebody. You can't just hire somebody to answer your phone if you don't know exactly what the phone's not going to ring all day. What else is that person going to be doing? You have to hire with intention. It just also depends on your business too, right? But if you don't have, and I'm not just talking about a job description, if you are the only person that works in your business, you need to audit your day. You need to know what you do all day. I don't care if it's making coffee. I don't care if it's a fax, answering email. You should audit your day. And then once you do that, you put a star by everything that only you can do. Right? Only nobody else can do this but me. And then the things that you don't really mind doing, and then those things that I hate doing. And that's how you figure out who you need to work in your business. Because if you're just hiring somebody to answer the phones, well, if the phone's only ringing 2 times a day and you got 8 hours at $12, you're wasting money. Somebody's sitting around doing absolutely nothing. And so you have to put something in place that says, here's what you need to be doing while you're here, right? This is my expectation. Also, legally speaking, in hiring an accountant or hiring somebody to do your books or hiring somebody to do construction, you need to make sure you have some idea of what they're going to be doing. I'm not saying you have to understand all your books, but don't just depend on your accountant to do everything. You need to have an overview understanding of what they're going to be doing and sending an email saying, hey, I'm expecting this, this, and this. If you don't have an overview, you know what's going to happen. You're just going to be wasting money. And so even with an attorney, you need to know what you expect from your attorney. If your attorney is not setting goals and giving you an expectation of what to expect in doing business with them, there's a problem with that, right? Like I worked with Alicia before. She'll know. I'll send an email out in a heartbeat and like, hey, here's what you can expect from me. So just understanding as a business owner, when you paying your money, I don't care if it's Barack Obama. Hey, Barack, I'm going to need this from you or run me my money back, right? So just having the confidence to demand quality service, but also understand what you're getting, what you're paying for.
Yeah, that's good. One thing, anybody who works around me, I talk a lot about making sure we stay in our zone of genius, right? And the way to stay in your zone of genius is to be honest about what you're good at and what you're not good at. And I much rather spend time building up the areas I'm strong in than the areas I'm weak, baby, because if I'm weak, somebody else is strong. Amen. So when you think about getting help, what are you really, really good at, right? And the things that you don't enjoy so much, find somebody else because that's their zone of genius. Don't put me on social media. Please, God, right? Like, there's just certain things that I know I'm not that good at, but then I know there's things that I'm super strong at. And so the things that you're not good at, there's nothing wrong with trying to learn a new skill. But when you're thinking about growing, my personal opinion, y'all might think don't waste your time. I don't try to do anything communication-wise because Kayla's amazing at that. I don't try to organize anything or keep myself calm because JT's great at that, right? And so you got to find people in your life who they're really good at, and that's where the investment comes in, absolutely. Right? And so be okay. If you're not good at social media, don't do it. Stop. Right? And put your energy and time where your zone of genius lies. I think it's really important for us just to be honest, to say, like, I'm not good at that, and I need some help, right? So one of the things, too, I want to kind of round this out as we get close to the end of this conversation is about the importance of customer service, right? And so having really good operations, having our systems in place, it helps us to have a better reputation, better relevance, and visibility, right? So, and this is just a general question. Why is what we're talking about so important to having good customer service and just in general being a good business owner? And so I was going to ask that question, but before I want to just, I feel it in my shanana. I want to just say this again too. When I think about my story of starting Polaris, I didn't know what I didn't know about being in a brick and mortar. And when you have a physical location, it's a completely different ball game than when you have a product or just a service, right? Because you have multiple things to consider. But I knew I could sign this lease, but I didn't know anything about it. So I found an attorney to help me figure that out. I knew I didn't have any money before we got started, but I had an accountant just create, what would my books look like? Create a shock system. If I charge this much, what would it look like? So be okay with kind of doing things before you feel like you're ready. Right? So before I felt like I was ready, I had an attorney. Before I felt like I was ready, I had an accountant. Before I felt like I was ready, I had numbers, I had a bookkeeper. They said, baby, everything's zero. I said, well, just put some in there. Would you tell me what you think? You know, what would it look like, right? Like, I knew nothing about insurance, so I said, hey, I need somebody who knows about, I went and got an insurance broker. I said, help me get the best insurance because I want to make sure I'm protected. So do the things that you don't think you're ready for because we got to start with the end in mind. Right? Because if you start small, you're going to keep building peace. But if you go ahead and you begin with the end in mind, you'll start preparing yourself for where you're going. And your conversation about your business and your vision will be different when you talk to people. Amen? So, okay. Customer service. Why is what we're talking about so important when we think about being relevant, having great customer service, and our credibility as entrepreneurs and business owners? I know I see your head shaking, but yeah, this is for anybody. And then I want to ask some questions as well to the audience.
Yeah.
All right. For me, customer service is everything. Even in my business. So if you go to any liquor store, in most cases, especially on this side of town or on the west side of town, it's kind of thrown together. You know, people don't put any care into the business because the expectation is very low. In my mind, I always wanted this boutique-style liquor store. When people walk in, it smells good, it feels good. Because what I realize is people remember the experience, not so much how much money they spent. And so, because when you come see me, you have to spend the money. Okay. You know what I'm saying? We live in a controlled state, and if you don't understand, that means the ABC store is much cheaper than my store. It's not my fault, but that's just the way it is. So for me, I need an advantage. And the advantage is even the guy who comes in and buy a dollar miniature, he's king there. When you come to JW Package Store, we're gonna treat you with the utmost respect, regardless of how much money you spend. When you come in, it's gonna always be clean because I need you to remember how you felt when you walk in the store. So it's key for me. If you walk in, if you've never been to the location in Center Point, when you walk in, we got porcelain floors, we got the air fresheners in, and people, and the thing is, for me, when people go to Hoover or when they go to Homewood, the liquor costs the same. The experience is different. But when you come over here and you go down the street to somebody else's store, they don't get that same experience. The dollar spend the same. I respect your dollar the same. So that's why I put so much money into my stores and the experience that you're gonna have when you come. And as a result, we've done great numbers. We have a great clientele, and we love the people, and I love them back. See, they love JW Package Store. Yeah.
Love JW. Yeah.
So customer service is actually the first place where you start to build trust. And people will repeat business where they trust someone. Even if you are the most expensive attorney in the city, in the state, in the country, if you're the most expensive operations manager that they've ever worked with, if they trust you, they will invest in your business because they see the value in it. So I'm currently actively not in business, technically. I stopped actively marketing my business back in 2021, 2022-ish. But I have some OG clients that every quarter, every year, they're emailing me, hey, Archie, I know, you're not really in business, but do you mind helping me do this audit? Or I'm about to hire somebody. Do you mind doing some interviews for me? Or do you mind automating this? And it's because I treat my customers with care, or clients with care, from start to finish. When they first sign their contract with me, I send them a questionnaire asking them, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite food? What's your favorite drink? What are your favorite things? And then I'll send them a thank you card and one thing off of their favorite thing list. I have one client where she beat pancreatic cancer like 3 or 4 years ago. Every year on her anniversary, even to this day, I sent her a purple box with some of her favorite self-care items in it. Find ways to celebrate and to love on your clients. And this, I'm speaking more so from the service provider standpoint of things. But even if you do have a brick and mortar, whenever I come into Polaris, Jaden and Alicia, hey Archie, hey, you want some water? Go get you some coffee over there. That's excellent customer service. So think about ways that you would want to be loved on and showered on, ways that you would want to be appreciated by someone that you're working with, because again, that piece of customer service will always build trust, and people will always come back to you, even if it's not but a year, 2-3 years later. Hey, I remember that you did this for me, or this is how you laid out the red carpet for me when I first started working with you, and I'm ready to start working with you again.
Yeah. You want to share?
Yes.
Yes.
So I totally agree. In my businesses, what I've learned is that people will never forget how you made them feel. Never. Somebody could did something to you 10 years ago and you'll never forget how that person made you feel. People also are in love with convenience. So that good customer service and the convenience is where I have found people will pay so much for and continue to come back to you time and time again. Also, your online presence and how you show up to your customers is very important. Treat them with respect. And in most experiences, I've gotten respect back in return. But customer service is the number one thing that you have to really, really, really work on. Like, who's the front person in your business, right? Who's answering the phones? If you ever call Partyology, you're gonna hear, "Thank you for calling Partyology. How can we bring the fun to you today?" Right? And people know that voice and they love that and they continue to come back for that. Whether it's my tax business, I had a call yesterday from someone that came to me in 2020. Where he's been this whole time, I don't know. But he never forgot how I made him feel in his experience from wherever he went. Now, even though he shied away, I don't know what happened to him. But he came back, he was like, "I remember you helped me. And I went to 2 other people and they messed me up. So I want to know, can you help me XYZ?" Now, I gave him 2025 price. And he was like, "Well, that's a lot different from 2020 price." I said, "Yes, sir. It's 5 years later and this is how much it is." And he still booked with me.
Well, I'll keep it short. In my industry, people already feel uncomfortable about their numbers and they're scared to talk about it. They don't want to talk about it because a lot of people attach their emotions to their money. So, they're already ashamed or, what I'm saying? So part of what I try to do is let them know that it's not at the end of the world. Your problem is not uncommon. Just try to meet them and just making them feel better about that. Majority of the time, I don't think much of it, but they'll say, "You know what? I came in here stressed. Now I feel a whole lot better about the situation." And because, again, my passion is financial literacy. So I, instead of just telling you what the numbers say, I try to make you understand what the report is for. So, that goes into it. So when you know a lot of the things, that makes you feel better. And, that's the approach that we take. Each one of our clients has a different why or a different reason they're in business. So we kind of cater to that. So, each one of our clients get that special attention.
Yeah, for sure. I was going to say, too, I think the reason why everything that we're talking about, creating these systems and thinking about what that looks like is so important is because it's hard for us to really think about our customer and how we care for them if everything else is in disarray. Right? If we don't know our numbers, we got to file the taxes, we got to go on MAT, we got to go get a Birmingham City license in Jefferson County, and they stressing us out because we don't know what's what, right? Like, you can't really think about how to truly serve and care for your customer, which is the heartbeat of your business, if your business is not in order. Right? And you have to care for that person because a lot of times when people are in business for themselves, they're like, "I don't have no boss." It's like, you absolutely have a boss, right? Like, you're always working for someone. We're working for the people that we serve. And so it's hard to really serve them with soul and with care and with true excellence in customer service if all of the things that we talked about today and all the different areas that you all represent are in disorder. And so once we get that together, we can really serve our customers, really tell our story better, and be prepared to grow and scale our operations.
Can I say
Absolutely.
something real? And I agree with customer service. Y'all know I'm like, that's my number one thing. But I also think referrals. So people who refer clients to me, I always ask people, how did you hear about us? How did you hear about us? And I keep a running list in my office. So in December, everybody who refers somebody to me, we'll do like custom cookies. I'll send like Starbucks gift cards. It doesn't have to be a whole lot, right? It can be a $10. I've had people who've mentored me. Like I've just called an attorney in Atlanta about a case, didn't know me from Cat Dog. He was like, sis, I got you. Help me. I emailed him a Starbucks $10 gift card immediately, right? I mean, he can get a coffee at least. But my point is that when you do things nice like that, people are going to always refer you out. People remember you. The other thing too, and this is a shameless plug, but I get my hair done at Martin Beauty, right? And let me just say, the wig's not cheap, okay? Let's just be clear here. But it was too tight, something was happening. And when I tell you that I've not seen customer service in the beauty industry like this in my life, she was like, you know what, keep that wig, we're gonna make you a brand new one. Oh, baby, I've been telling everybody, girl, you need a wig. Go to Martin Beauty. Go to Martin Beauty. Like, I'm telling you, she might as well just put me on a commercial. But what I'm saying is that I will always do business with her because that is good customer service. Like, she could have been like, okay, well, I'll make you another one. It'll be half price. Or my point is that she was like, we're going to fix this. Keep that one. So I was rocking that one. I got a new one. Now I got two for the price of, baby, I done ordered 3 more since that day. Like, I'm just saying, when you get... And she right across the street, just in case you know, black on.
I was going to give my girl a plug. So Modern Beauty, she is right here in downtown.
That's my girl.
She handles all of us and keeps us together. So yes, we love M.
But I'm giving that example because that's good customer service. When you're wrong, correct it.
Yeah.
Correct it. Put your ego aside. Do what you got to do to correct it because I promise you that person going to still do business with you, period. And then they're going to be bringing their mama and their auntie because when I tell you I done gave that girl number out, I might need me a referral fee. But yeah, that's it.
That's awesome. That makes so much sense when we think about that. Because once somebody is a raving fan, it's like evangelism, right? You can't, listen, you ask me anything about marketing and comms, I don't say her name 3 times, I'm always going to tell you to Donji. Right? She knows what she's doing. I'm always going to tell people about you. I'm always going to have Patrick up on this stage, right? Even though I be getting on his nerves because I believe in what he does, right? Like Renee is always going to be, I'm always going to send people your way once I know you do well and you treat people well. And that's really, things move at the speed of trust and relationships. You could get so much done when you have good relationships and people trust what you're doing. Right? And we don't talk about those intangibles when we talk about scale. I mean, yes, it's important to have infrastructure, all those things, but trust and relationships will help you scale faster than anything you can think of, right? So I appreciate you all for the conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, the gems you shared, the authenticity and the transparency. Charmaine, you did an awesome job. We're so proud. Awesome job. Too much. I'm sorry. I can't help myself. He's like, please stop. But thank you guys so much. And then also we like to make sure we make space for folks. I know some of you guys are entrepreneurs, some of you are not. And so I want to see, based on the things that you heard, did anybody have any questions, any thoughts? It may be a question for yourself. It may even just be something that you were thinking about or something that resonated with you. Anybody want to share? If y'all look at me, I have a call-out spirit. Hey, Glasses. Hey. Can we get her a microphone? Yeah, we're recording, so we want you to have a microphone. We want to get really clear audio of what you're saying. I think we have all of them up here. Okay, I'm going to give you mine.
Hey, everybody. So my question was, we going all the way back to the beginning. So the brain dumping. When it comes to brain dumping your ideas, and how do you make that complete? Like, I know some people, when they brain dump, they talking broken sentences. It's like how do you get that all together and organize it to where it makes sense? And then you're able to give it to other people so that they're able to understand and be able to execute. Because I know a lot of people have the plan, but they don't have those people to actually execute the plan. Great idea, but how are we going to get it done? So that's my question.
That's a really good question. So if you hire somebody, it makes it easier, but I'm going to give you something a little bit more practical from the sense of if you have to do this by yourself. ChatGPT is your best friend. talk to ChatGPT just like you would talk to any person. And this is something I actually discovered a couple of weeks ago. I needed to get something out, and I said, dang, I ain't got my therapist right now. Let me see if ChatGPT can help me out. Look, any type of like AI tool. Now, I wouldn't, for therapy, it's gonna give you that disclaimer that they're not a therapist. But for business stuff, if you talk to, whether it's Gemini, ChatGPT, whatever it is that you use, talk to it just like you would talk to a person, and then ask for, be specific. Say, ChatGPT, I want to do a brain dump. I have all this stuff in my head. Can you help me? And then it's going to say something along the lines of, absolutely, I love you. What do you need? Just go ahead and lay it out. It doesn't have to make sense. Just go ahead and just start talking. There's this little button right down at the bottom, in case you don't want to type it all out, where you can record, like talk to it. Just start talking. Even if it's broken sentences, even if it's not, let's say you say, my marketing is all over the place, but then I'm thinking about my CRM, but I'm also thinking about my clients, but I don't know where to start. It's gonna pick all of that up and then say, I just need a plan. I need to make sense of this, and it'll help you out. So for anyone who's trying to be more lean, and there's nothing wrong with being lean, whether you're, no matter what stage of business that you're in. Like I said, I've been in business since 2018, and I'm back at the point where I have to be lean. If you're hiring someone to help you brain dump, what they should be doing is, after you finish the brain dump, they should then compartmentalize it into 4 different things. What can you delegate? What can you eliminate? What can you do yourself? And what can we put off to the side? What's gonna be high impact but low effort? So what's that quick win that's not gonna take a whole lot? What's gonna be low effort, low impact, something that kinda you can just do, but it really isn't gonna make a whole lot of a difference? That's what they should be doing, because then it's going to help you zone down what makes sense for you. ChatGPT will do it too. You might just have to finagle it a little bit. Did that answer your question?
Baby, y'all in chat is, y'all been, all right, I love chat too. Hey, chat. Hey, little chat. Okay, so I do have another thing. Does somebody have a question? Okay.
I had a quick question. So one of the things that, Patrick, I heard you say, and it resonated, and you said it again in this room, was we have to get out of the hustle culture. I have been saying that all this year because I have also been burnt out. And I'm like, okay, this is not my hood. Like, so can you tell us about how maybe the business venture didn't go how you planned? How do you land that ship with like dignity and grace? And also, what are the steps you take in like redirecting yourself and like getting back up again?
Okay. I think that's Jermaine.
Jermaine. Okay. Yeah.
Thought he was done.
Yeah. Again, for me, it's always easy to release. I've never had an issue with holding on to anything. If it really didn't make sense, if it caused me too much stress, if I couldn't sleep about it, it's easy for me to let you go. That's humans and business. It doesn't matter. So for me, I adopted that. I don't know where from. I've always been that way. How do you, the question was, how do you do it with dignity and grace? Okay, so for me, even when I used to work, I had a job, I never would cut one cord without having another, right? So I would always be working on something else to substitute or supplement that situation. I've never, ever put myself in a situation. Even, you can always see a situation going bad or a situation that you need to relieve yourself of. You can see that 6 months before. During that 6 months, you need to be working on something else that's going to supplement, whether it be your income, your household, your whatever it is. You need to have enough wisdom to see that and also start working on that.
And can I just say legal? I was going to say legally, just make sure you shut this business down with the state and with the IRS. Like I'm all about jumping off with a parachute, but baby, send them letters and let them folks know that business is closed so that you don't have to, they won't be coming after you for the tax part. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say that. And also, it's same thing what he said. If it doesn't align with you anymore, if it's not giving you peace, and if it ain't making no money, let it go. And I can speak from that too, because I'm actually about to let one of my things go because it's no longer giving me peace. It's not aligning with what I see for my future now, and it ain't making me no money. I sat in that particular business now for a whole nother year, and it continued to drain me. It continued to drain my peace, and it continued to drag me all kind of ways. So when do you need to let it go? As soon as those three things are happening, let it go. Because the longer you hold on to it, it's just gonna bring you down. It's taking up unnecessary space, and it's stopping you from growing.
And a more important thing is, it doesn't even matter if you've done it for so long. A lot of times people say, well, I've been doing this for 10 years. It doesn't matter. When it's not working, it's just not working. It don't matter if it's been 10 years, 15 years, or one. It doesn't matter. Just let it go. So be accustomed to letting things go and not worrying about it. You got to be able to do that. I mean, if you're going to be successful, you got to be able to let people go, and you got to be able to let businesses go. People get laid off all the time because you in the way of the profit at this point. Unfortunately, I got to let you go. Stores are closing all over the place. That don't mean the whole business is going down, but that one particular store wasn't making enough income. So it got to go.
And not all the time do you need to start a business. Sometimes you can take your money and invest with something that's already successful. Like, I'm always looking to invest in somebody else's dream if they got a plan on how I'm gonna get my money plus some. It's not always about starting a business. Sometimes you can invest with somebody else and be a silent partner and collect your checks. I think it's just understanding what works for you. You don't always have to start a business.
And the dignity and grace part, because that was a big thing that I was struggling with, it's understanding your worth. Because when you understand your worth, it's easy to walk away.
Amen. Amen. Well, listen, thank y'all so much for this. Can we give him a round of applause? Thank y'all so much for this.